Hello everyone, my name is William Tan and I'm about to give you my PowerPoint presentation for my industry interview of my person in the investment banking industry. So next slide. First of all, I have a great interest for investment banking because I feel it's the best and broadest corporate finance experience that you can get with exposure to buy-side, sell-side M&A, debt-to-equity capital raising, and it provides a great opportunity for me to be able to affect company strategic decisions even at a junior level. So all my track record and resume and major at the University of Kentucky is dedicated toward building, experiences and capabilities to being able to work in IB straight out of university. So my major is finance and accounting. I chose this major because it's the most common major for students interested in getting into the investment banking industry. And I feel like in terms of business in general, it develops a great base knowledge relevant to all other facets of business, whether it's understanding the financial statements or even just understanding the drivers of the operations of business in general. So next slide. The person that I decided to interview in the IB industry is a fellow University of Kentucky alum working as a current investment banking analyst at Citi in New York City on Wall Street. In terms of his work specifics, he works in the global power coverage group, and he covers utilities and alternative energy companies and helping them with advisory services and raising capital. So Gilmore was a next slide. So Gilmore was the ideal person in the investment banking industry for me to speak to because being also him a fellow fraternity brother of Theta Chi at UK, I was able to speak to him very openly and get very valuable insights, speaking to him kind of on a peer-to-peer basis and be very open with my questions with him. So, and him also working as an analyst, which is a starting level in the hierarchy of investment banking. It is the target role that I'm looking for coming straight out of college. So it was great to be able to ask him questions of the day-to-day of what he does at Citi. Next slide. So the three main themes that we were able to get out of our chat, or that I was able to get, was that the long and tedious hours that comes with investment banking. Gilmore would speak to me about you have to be ready for the 80 to 100 hours work week. That's the minimum for working on Wall Street. And he was telling me about whether it would entail developing a certain diet, to be able to help your body function for those long hours, to be able to become more efficient, so that you can get a lot more done, so that hopefully you minimize the amount of time you spend in the office, and also just being able to set a high standard of work so that you only have to do it one time instead of correcting and reformatting that can take much more time and effort. And that leads us into the number two theme that I took away was the type of professionalism that you have to develop and being able to handle certain obligations that come with working with IB. So we spoke about how coming from living the life as a college student to managing clients at Fortune 500 companies. So definitely there comes a certain level of professionalism and composure that you have to develop, and a high standard that you have to set in terms of the work that you produce, so that that is sufficient for the firm that you work at. For him, in his case, a top prestigious firm like a Citibank. And the last thing we were able to speak to was just the challenges of coming from a non-core school and doing recruiting and working into an investment bank. The University of Kentucky, we said, was a phenomenal school with programs like the Honors Program, the Global Scholars Program. But in terms of a strong base of alumni working on Wall Street, we don't have as many. So we spoke about the initiative that I'd have to take into reaching out and making more calls, just like some of the ones that we had, that we just had. To other people in the industry, to set up as many job interviews as I can to open up my options into the firms that I could work in the industry. So next slide. The main takeaway that I took from speaking to Gilmore was just being willing to multitask and handle losses. Gilmore told me, for example, he's working on 6 different pitches, which is marketing materials that the senior bankers will present to some of their clients and corporations. And they're competing against many of the other banks like Goldman Sachs, your JP Morgan. And he told me, he said, you've got to be willing to handle many projects and work many, many weeks on some of them. And with the idea that a lot of them will not go through, and being able to handle that competitiveness and is very, very important. It was very interesting to me. So next slide. In conclusion, speaking with Gilmore has definitely further motivated me to pursue working in investment banking, and him telling me about the day-to-day of his work has really helped me gain the confidence that I can handle these long and tedious hours. And in terms of the next steps for me, it would be to reach out and make more calls like this with other people in the industry to organize as many job interviews as I can, so that I can get out there into the real working world and get involved with the services, the capital raising and advisory services that investment banking provides. So definitely looking forward to it, and will give my best to represent the University of Kentucky as best I can.